you want a cheeseburger? I'll make you a cheeseburger, honey.
Yeah.
I could just hear her right now. Like,
why spend money on that?
We don't need to go out. We could do it.
I took a short drive from my house into downtown Medford, Oregon to chat with dear friend and chef Braden Hitt. His name, for a lot of people in this area, draws this audible expression of delight. And oh yeah, we love Braden. I met him years ago at a local bar, brooding, sipping Jameson, and looking for more. We became friends, and he's become that type of friend that not only asks me to taste test something, but anytime I text him with a how-to or a cooking question, he answers me back immediately and with heart. So we're heading into Braden's restaurant, OverEasy, in downtown Medford, and I'm hoping we can get into the kitchen.
How long have you been a chef now?
Well, I started cooking whenever I was 16. I started chefing, like running restaurants. Oh man, probably 20 years ago.
It's funny, it's funny you say that, because I was like, how long have you been chefing? How long have you been cooking?
Yeah. So I started cooking back in Oklahoma, out of high school. I started working for a lady named Sandy Hamilton, and that really kind of got me hooked cooking. And so I started working. Well, actually, I went out and staged for her son that was running Barbara Mandrell's kitchen at the time. And so, at Magnolia. And so I got to hang out there and see this whole thing, and it was just like, just had stars in my eyes, you know what I mean? The food that they were doing was on another level, and it was amazing. So from that point, after doing that 2.5 weeks, this is what I was going to do. And then that's whenever I was like, I'm pursuing that.
At 16?
Yeah, I was 18, 19 probably, yeah. Hadn't started drinking yet.
Do you think, is that lucky or unlucky of you to have figured out what you want to do at such a young age?
Well, to be honest, I wanted to cook. Whenever I was younger, I was hooked on Julia Child, Justin Wilson. Some kids were watching cartoons. I was on Saturdays, I was watching the block of cooking shows. Jacques Pepin, Julia Child, all of it. I was just addicted to them. And so I always wanted to cook, and I always experimented at the house with Mom. Mom wasn't a good cook, so she would kind of let me do whatever I'd want to do. But then I started pursuing it professionally, cooking, and I was just hooked. I got hooked up with the right people that were really passionate about food, and it wasn't just a job. It was on another level, I think. In the greater scheme of things, it was about the food and not about the pursuit of the money aspect of it. It was about producing this beautiful stuff. So.
Do you have anything that you just love cooking? What's your...
it's very therapeutic for me. My favorite time is whenever I'm prepping without anybody here, by myself in the morning. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I can just really kind of focus in on what I'm doing. Pro tip, always start your mushrooms out in a dry pan.
To get the water out?
Yeah.
Growing up in Oklahoma really did shape how you cook.
Oh yeah, totally. I still, to this day, I want things to be recognizable, but I want them to be just, I don't hate the word elevated, but elevated a little bit. You know what I mean? I grew up, breakfast for dinner. That was my dad's favorite meal, and so that was the one thing Mom could actually do really well was breakfast. And so, and then my grandmother had a huge plot of land a huge plot of land. She had a plot of land that she had a huge garden on. And that's where I, first started learning about food, just hanging out in the garden with Grandma. I moved from Oklahoma to attend culinary school in Portland. Le Cordon Bleu was where I went, and got my first real taste of like big time cooking, you know, in restaurants, because while I was there, of course, I had to work, you know. So I worked at Jake's Crawfish. That was my first job in Portland. And then that was crazy. I was shucking oysters for like 500 people a night. It was wild.
Oh my goodness.
And then I started working at the Veritable Quandary, where that's like my home away, or was my home away from home. You know, I worked off and on at that restaurant for over 10 years, I think. It was a really good time for me to get out. I felt like an out, you know, I didn't fit in at first in Portland, you know, until I started working at the restaurants, and now I still have people that I, you know, if I left here today, I could sleep on their couch for the next 2 months. You know what I mean? Like that's the bonds that I made in Portland, that, you know, I have family there. Then got offered a teaching gig at OCI, Oregon Culinary Institute. I did that for a while. We were running the restaurant end of it. And that was a really cool experience. It kind of helped me kind of understand like training people. That is where I kind of got my chops doing that. Like it was, you know, having people that didn't know anything about anything whenever it comes to cooking, teaching them something was really something that I became passionate about. And I still hold true to that today. You know, I love teaching people in the kitchen how to do things, you know.
What kind of mushrooms?
We've got chanterelles and matsutake.
Matsutake those are the ones people like will kill each other for, right?
Yes, they grow on the coast in sandy soil.
Oh.
And a little unknown fact is that lobster mushrooms take matsutake over to form themselves, form lobster mushrooms.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And lobster, you love lobster mushrooms.
I love lobster mushrooms. As you get that water out of the cells, it will give it it like makes the texture of the mushroom more meaty, not as like slimy, you know. I think that's a lot of people's aversion to mushrooms, is that they think they're slimy, and it's because they're not cooked properly.
Those kind of get like a little charred that way.
Look at that.
Yeah. What'd you do when you moved to Southern Oregon?
Well, I moved down to help Neil Clooney open up Smithfield's. I was in talks with somebody else about opening up OverEasy down here. So we got Smithfield's off of the ground and running, and then I started chefing down at Elements. And during that time, we were asked to do a pop-up restaurant, and we had a really great opportunity, so we took it, and we built this great clientele. This space became available, or not actually this space, but the one behind us. And so we did it. We just jumped feet first into it, not knowing what the hell we were doing. And one of our customers actually invested in us, and, you know, loaned us money, and we took advantage of it and just went for it. And it was a retail space with no infrastructure whatsoever. Like the plumbing that was here was bad. It was from the 1920s, basically. The whole back end of the building is from the 20s. So we came in, gutted everything. Like there was no floor. Like we were looking at dirt floor for a long time.
Wow.
We put all new plumbing, all new electrical. It was a huge project.
How many eggs do you guys go through in a weekend?
Oh God, I go through about, just on the weekends, probably 6 cases, which is like...
What?
Yeah, it's like 122 per case, I think.
So your magic with omelets, my omelets turn into just scrambled eggs with shit in it.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. The easiest way is just kind of let you get a little start.
Okay.
And then I'll lift it up on the edges.
Don't be afraid, right?
Don't be afraid. Get in there and do it.
Get in there. Oh, now you're just showing off.
Yeah. So here, we're going to put just a little bit of Gruyere.
there's a special breed of human that cooks professionally. They're all weird. Everybody is just weird as hell, and are all very passionate about what they do, you know. And there's restaurants where it is just a job and work, and you go in and you slop it out, and you know. But there's different styles of restaurant and cooking, you know, professionally. What we try to do here is all from scratch, and that's just the way that that's what I came up on, is from scratch cooking, you know. And so I wanted to carry that into my professional life, you know, and not have it be so institutional, you know, and make it fun for me as well, because the last thing I want to do is cook the same damn thing for 10 years straight. You know what I mean? Like that's death to a chef. You know what I mean?
Burnout, right?
It's complete burnout and zero creativity, and you're just pumping food out, you know, at a certain point.
What's the best compliment when it comes to your cooking?
That they'll be back.
How's it going?
As a business owner, that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be just a one and done. I want them to feel comfortable about coming back and trying it again. You know,
So good.
When people say that's the best omelet that I've ever had in my life, and it's from like a 75-year-old man, that to me is it's something that you wouldn't expect an older gentleman to say. You know what I mean? And like, you're like, thank you so much. You know, that to me that's the best compliment. You know, like, he's had 75 years of eating omelets. You know what I mean?
With eggs, I know there's like a bazillion way you can make eggs.
Totally.
Is that one reason why you love cooking with them so much?
Yeah, because everybody likes their eggs differently, and it's like a steak. I kind of equate it to that. You know, it's a different technique, but I mean, depending on whether you're searing it or whatever, you know, you're still waiting, seeing, you know, if they order it over medium, you want to touch that yolk to make sure that it started to kind of set. You know what I mean? Like, there's
Never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
The way that we have it structured here is, you know, we change the menu, you know, something on it will change every week, you know, and that to me is fun. I love that. You know, it makes it interesting, keeps my cooks on their toes as well. It makes them, you know, pay more attention to what we're doing, you know, because something could change. Just even if it is on a dish that I carry over, it could be something else that I'm adding to it or I'm taking off of it, you know. So it makes them have to be more interactive with each plate.
Did you get to a point where you had some burnout here?
Oh yeah. I mean, I experience it, you know, I'm experiencing it right now, you know what I mean? Like, the employment pool in the restaurant industry in Southern Oregon is a little shallow. And I'm a small business, so it's hard to compete pay-wise with corporations, you know, that can pay you over $20 an hour to work the fryer. You know what I mean? Like, as a small business, it's hard to compete with that, you know? And so I'm back on the line working 4 days.
How do you get past burnout? How do you get out of that?
Drinking heavily. No, it's true though. I mean, that you hear a lot of stories about chefs just being wicked drunks, and you know, I battle with that every day. You know, there's a love and hate relationship with it's like you're up against the restaurant. You know what I mean? A lot of the times, and you know, working, I'll be 51 in December, you know, so working where we're serving 200 people, you know, in 4.5 hours, that's taxing on me anymore, you know, and plus I feel like an idiot now, you know, I'm not as quick as I used to be, you know what I mean? And so, I mean, I can still hold my own, don't get me wrong, but but it doesn't come as easy, should I say, you know? And, you know, so it's weird, you know, it's hard sometimes. You just got to power through it. And I have an amazing, not only partner in business, but partner in life. And she is, you know, keeps me strong and keeps me on the path and keeps me from doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's taken a long time to where I feel comfortable in, knowing that addiction is a huge part of this industry. And so having people come into your space that party every night, and do their thing, but they still show up for work, and they still rock it out, and and they have this, like, again, they're like working against themselves and the restaurant. It's kind of like to prove to yourself almost a little bit in this industry that you can withstand all the shit,
I was just gonna say, you show up
every day. You have to. Well, now especially you, as a business owner, if I don't show up, then who is? You know what I mean? Like, it's nobody. Your employees, our employee, we're very, very lucky to have the group of people that we do. They give a shit about this spot. You know what I mean? They care for it, and they love it, and they love what we do here. And we provide an environment that you can be whoever you want to be here. You know what I mean? You're not gonna. I'm the last person that needs to tell you how to live your life in any sort of way. So, like, I want people to come here and have a good experience while they work and enjoy it and make money, to where they don't have to work 5 jobs. That's another harsh reality of this industry, is that most servers that are waiting your table have another job somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's part-time gigs a lot of places. So, it's a tough industry, and I think everybody should have to work in the restaurant industry for a week
100%.
out of their life. It would give you so much more respect for behind the scenes of what is actually happening.
You and I can nerd out over food talk,
100%.
cooking talk, and I can text you a question like, hey, I'm doing this with beans. What? And then you immediately text me back.
Again, I love it. I love passing on the knowledge of cooking. I think that's something that we're losing in society a lot. I don't want to be the boomer that says, "Oh, show the younger generation they can't even boil water." You know what I mean?
But it's true.
But it's true. It's wild how reliant the younger generation is on convenience food. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to take the time to learn how to cook, or they've never been taught. And to them it's an inconvenience whenever they can spend 10 minutes in a drive-through. And again, I think that education should start in school. Again, I in my schooling I took I had the option of taking Future Homemakers of America,
Home ec,
because they taught cooking, and I was interested in that. You know what I mean? And like, kind of went against the norm. All my friends are playing baseball and football, and I'm in I'm in home ec, learning to sew and make pot holders and make sandwiches. You know what I mean? But that again, it was just something that I was super interested in.
Yeah, and can you imagine? I mean, I just thought our grandmothers sound very similar, but like, say I can just hear my grandmother. Hey, can we go out to go get a burger?
Yeah,
she'd be like, I'll make you one right now.
100%. Yeah.
You want a cheeseburger? I'll make you a cheeseburger, honey.
Yeah.
I could just hear her right now.
Yeah.
Like,
why spend money on that when we can do it?
We can do it.
I know. That's not happening anymore. It's like, okay, yeah, let's go out. I really hope that we kind of come back to the basics of, just teaching people how to live and
how to function.
How to function,
especially in the kitchen.
Yeah, especially in the kitchen. Like, that's a lost art.
I mean, it's literally nothing to get a bag of beans and throw them in some water with some salt.
Yeah,
and a ham hock if you're crazy.
And that's 3 days of eating right there. This is a perfect example. Last night, I made this huge batch of like fall soup, beets and turnips and rutabaga, all this stuff. Mushrooms, and we have soup for the next 3 nighs. You know what I mean? And then once you have that soup, then you serve a little side salad or you eat a little sandwich with it. It's like
100%.
It's a way of like. Me and Stephanie were talking about it the other day, of just like sitting down, making a shopping list of stuff that makes sense, not frozen pizza or burritos or blah, blah, blah. It's like, how about beans that we can make the refried beans with. We'll buy tortillas. We got the block of cheese. So
you can do all these things.
You can do all these things, and then you can use those things in other things. And I want to see our society kind of come back around to that.
Another open face with crispy bacon and a PJ Spring.
We hold ourselves to a different standard than a lot of restaurants do. We kind of shoot from the hip a lot of times, and sometimes it bites us in our ass, but sometimes it works, and that's kind of the way that I look at the food. Even though I'm serving chicken fried steak, I'm not putting canned gravy on it. I'm not serving you a pre-breaded frozen chicken fried steak. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing everything from scratch, and so just as the servers do, our cooks do as well. We try to put love into everything that we do. Sorry if I hit the mic.
No, you're good.
We just try to put love in everything that we do, and I think that it really shows. We got voted 14 out of the nation off of Yelp last year. Through The Hill came out with an article. I don't promote that kind of stuff because it kind of opens you up for targeting, you know what I mean? Like, oh, they're doing something good, I'm gonna go in there and wreck them. I hate Yelp, and I hate but it actually, for me not liking Yelp, we have like a 4.8 on Yelp.
Incredible.
And so that is amazing to me. Like, that to me is why I do this, is because people really do enjoy what we do. I'm not bullshitting. Whenever you come here, you're gonna get a good meal. You're gonna have a good experience. You're gonna have a good cocktail.
Hey, runner, please.
And it's not egotistical, I think, in a lot of ways, which is a really dark side of the restaurant industry too. It's all people stroking their own egos. And for me, I am passionate about what I do, you know what I mean? And it is I can be a little egotistical sometimes because I know that what we do is good. I don't gloat, we don't do any of that. And that's the reason why we didn't print out the thing about Yelp, is that I want to be under the radar and make money off of something that we produce that I can stand behind. My motto is don't compromise the integrity of what you do. And that goes from cleaning to food production, to plating, to serving, to everything. We want to have that experience. And so go that extra step. Don't compromise. Go that extra step to make those people feel welcome. And I think that it really shows in what we do.
Where did the idea of OverEasy, and really why breakfast? Why brunchy type things?
Yeah. For one, I think it kind of came back from my pops, liking breakfast all the time. I had this, it was really cool, and I never put it together. I was doing some therapy, doing some work on myself, and that was one thing that came up, was why do you think you did breakfast? And then it got into oh, what was your dad's favorite meal? And it hit me like a ton of bricks, you know what I mean? And so that was kind of eye-opening, but I was again trying to make those life changes and step back away from all of this and the party scene and all of that. Nothing good ever happens after 11 o'clock at night, you know what I mean? And so, if you're out, should I say. Once we were done building, the first day that we opened up, we had that built-in client. And anybody who's done any kind of construction knows that, you have a time frame of when you expect it to be done. It doesn't ever work like that. I just to put it out there, it does not work like that. Everybody's like, oh yeah, it's going to take 4 or 5 months. It was close to 8, before we were ready to rock. And I thought after the 8 months, it was going to be another slow incline back to where we were, at before, and customer-wise.
But
the first day, I was just like, you know what? F it. We're gonna open up and we're gonna see what happens. And so we took a video of me flipping the sign and me turning it to, flipping the sign on. And within about 30 minutes, there was a line around the block. And we sold out of food. We did like 150 people. It was insane. We were on a rocket ship to the moon. It was like every week, it just kept getting busier and then like we were hiring more people. We were doing, we at one point, before pre-pandemic, we had 14 employees. Whew. And we were jamming. And we opened up in November in 2019. March 2020 was when we had to shutter. At that point, I was just like, oh, we're screwed. You know what I mean? Like, what do we do now? Our everything, me and Stephanie's monetarily, we put everything into this.
But you guys ended up doing what a lot of other restaurants had to do, forced to do. You evolved.
Totally.
You had to change the way you operate to survive.
Yeah, just to limp through. We started doing to-goes. It was very limited.
And people were buying gift certificates?
That was the thing, was that Medford, like, anytime that we did any food to go, people would buy it and sell us out. We started getting gift certificates in, and people were just like buying $1,000 gift certificates at a time. It was insane. It was so crazy. And like, it was, like I said, it was so humbling. Like people, it was very touching. You know what I mean? Like people understood kind of the plight, and knew where we were at and how everything kind of transpired up until that point, and they helped us get through.
And I think a part of that, they not only helped you get through, they didn't want you to be forced to shut down.
Yeah.
For good.
Yeah, and there was, I thought that's what we were going to have to do. Even with selling the food on the weekends, I knew that it wasn't going to be sustainable if it was going to continue on for years. We had no idea. You know how it was whenever the pandemic first hit. It was chaos. Nobody knew anything. Nobody knew what to do. I told myself whenever I was doing that, we decided to do this, that I wouldn't cry this time around, and I'm not going to cry, but like legit, Medford got us through. Medford showed up, and like it was, I can't say thank you enough to our customers. Like it was wild.
You are kind of a crybaby.
Yeah, I cry. It's a sad time for the restaurant industry. It is brutal. It is very, very brutal. And I think that where we have kind of separated ourselves is that we don't push us or our staffs to the point of exhaustion. If we need a day off, I'll close the restaurant. I don't, I'm sorry that we have to do it, but it's just for our own, you can do without biscuits and gravy for one day. We need a mental health day. You know what I mean? I love our customers, and they're very responsive to if we need a day off, they get it.
We need you mentally well so we can get our biscuits and gravy.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel really good. I have been off the drink for a good while now. Like this weekend I had a beer and a shot, but I'm not.
Classic Braden.
You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna drink, do it right. But if I'm not, it's not an everyday thing anymore. You know what I mean? It hasn't been for years, but it's, during the pandemic, it was tough. I just dove headfirst back into that.
You and the rest of us. Yeah, we
you know
all
what I
did
mean?
that.
Like it got me through, and it got us through, and we're still here. We're still plugging along. Coming to Southern Oregon has definitely changed my entire life. There was opportunity here that I was not expecting, and it was kind of not going in the direction that I wanted it to go. And here, all of this is me. All this chaotic, weird artsy shit that's that makes up our restaurant, that's who I am. You know what I mean? Like I'm inspired by art. I'm inspired by the changing leaves, everything, and Southern Oregon it's here.
Looking back at all of that, how has this like vision changed? You know, this pop-up, now you're here. What does that all mean to you?
The reason why I left Oklahoma was to prove to myself that I was something more than what I was there. And this encompasses all of that work to me. Like culinary school, leaving Oklahoma, stepping out on my own, doing my own thing. You know, this is kind of, I don't mean to sound weird or anything, but life's work. I didn't do it by myself. You know, my wife is she's the backbone of this. She keeps me in line. She's the one who does everything else. You know what I mean? Like, she is OverEasy. And without her, it wouldn't have been possible. Like, this is everything that I've ever wanted to be since I was 10. You know what I mean? And I've done it. So to me, that's the best.